Welcome back to the Thinking Out Loud podcast. My name is Kevin Wilson.
And I'm Kyle Wenzel.
And we're excited to have you guys back for another week. And we have just a great show for you today. And we're really excited to have a special guest on with us today that has an amazing story. We always want to make sure that when, God does amazing things in people's lives, that is showcased. We want to make him famous. We want people to understand how amazing and transformational a relationship with God can be. And so today we have a guest. His name is Angel Colon. He is one of the survivors of the Pulse nightclub shooting. If you remember that, it was a terrorist attack back in 2016. And on June 12, 2016, Omar Mateen, he was a 29-year-old. He killed 49 people. He wounded 53 more in a mass shooting inside the Pulse gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida. At that particular time, it was the deadliest incident in the history of violence against LGBT people in the U.S. And it was actually the deadliest terrorist attack in the U.S. since September 11th, 2001 at that particular time. Of course, that was surpassed the following year in 2017 by the Las Vegas shooting. But Angel Colon, he survived the shooting at the Pulse nightclub. He was shot multiple times in his hip, legs, and back. Was looking at an article on People magazine where he said, quote, "I tried to get up, but everyone started running everywhere. I got trampled over and I shattered and broke my bones in my leg." After watching the gunman shoot the woman next to him on the floor, Colon said he thought, "I'm next. I'm dead." So obviously just a tremendous story of survival. And then, of course, you're going to also hear about his transformation as well. Angel is one of the founders of Fearless Identity. And also the Freedom March. You can also check out the documentary. They have a documentary on Amazon. It's basically called More Than a Victim. And Angel Colon joins us now. Angel, thanks for being on the Thinking Out Loud podcast.
Yes, thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Angel, walk us through your day. So before you even get through to the nightclub that night, just walk us through that day. What was that day like for you? I assume it was just an ordinary day in the life of Angel. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so actually I wanted to actually comment on before that day, a couple months before, well, that year, the Lord was already tugging in my heart. Because I grew up in church, so I knew the word of God. I was a worshiper. I was out of God's path for 8 years, but in those 8 years, I missed worshiping God. I missed being in church. I missed having that relationship. So I still prayed and I still had my moments with Jesus. So that year, I was already fed up with the lifestyle. I knew everything that I was doing was wrong. I knew that my life was a hot mess. So I remember, till this day, I remember in bed in April of 2016, I was praying and I said to the Lord, I miss having this relationship with you. I miss worshiping you, Lord. I want to come back to you, but I don't know how to. I don't know how to let go of everything. I don't know how to let go of these feelings. Yeah. And I said, so Lord, do what you have to do and allow me to go through whatever I have to go through for me to come back to you. And I call that the dangerous prayer.
Yeah,
I've heard of that before.
Yeah.
People doing that prayer. I was like, you know what? Let me try and let me see if the Lord goes out of his way to save me. So I made that prayer in April 2016, and then I totally forgot about that prayer. Totally forgot about prayer, and then June 12th, 2016 comes. But that day I was in downtown Orlando. I was I'm doing that weekend I had to work, but I was working in downtown during the day, and I was let go early that day,
Mm-hmm.
around 2 p.m. And I was looking a little scruffy, so I was like, you know what? Let me go get a haircut. Let me go get a haircut. So I got a haircut and all that, and I was not supposed to go out that night. But you know what happens after you get a haircut? You feel good. You look good. You're like, okay,
Oh yeah.
I can't just go home.
Right.
Yep.
I can't just go home and that's it. No, I look good. So I started to text. I had a friend that was in town from New York as well. Then I got invited to a house party. So I was like, okay, cool. We got the plans. So as the day went by, I got my outfit. I got my bottle, and I made it to the house party. So I was there. I saw a lot of people, and the thing is, the crazy beautiful thing is that in that party, I actually crashed into Luis Ruiz,
Mm.
which is my the ministry partner that I have now.
Yeah.
I crashed into him in that party. I hadn't
Wow.
seen him for about a year, but it was because God was already working in him, and that's a whole other story. If you guys want to have them on the show, like his story is crazy as well.
Yeah.
So I saw him there. I was like, oh my gosh, Luis, how are you? I haven't seen you. Are you're gonna go to Pulse, right? He's like, yeah, of course. You know, so we were there, and then around 11:30, we had left and we got to Pulse, and had a great time with friends. You know, it was a night where there was no drama, nothing bad going on. We were just there. We were dancing, and then they called last call. I made sure I got my last drink of the night. Went to the bar. I came back to the floor, the main dance floor, and 2:02 a.m. was when my life completely changed. Completely changed.
What? So help us and paint a picture for us of kind of what happened. When did you find out that the gunman was even in the club? Like, how did that happen?
So he was in there actually throughout the night, checking out the club. He came inside and everything. But when everything changed, it was at 2:02 a.m. I was in the room where it all started. I was actually about 10 feet away when he came in and he started to shoot.
Oh my goodness.
I was like in the middle of it all. He came in the door. I didn't see him because I was talking to friends, but I remember hearing a loud pop in the right of my ear. I remember seeing an orange flash. I dropped my drink, and right there, you could just hear the noise, pop, 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 really loud. I could feel it. I could feel the heat of the gun.
Yeah.
And I remember I dropped my drink. I pushed my friends, and I ran about 2 or 3 steps, and that's when I felt already the taps behind in the right leg. I could feel hot taps. I remember as soon as I felt the taps, I fell down. I wasn't sure what it was actually, if it was me being shot or just something hitting me, but it was hard and I fell. But within seconds, the club was in chaos. Everyone was jumping over each other, trying to get out. So at that moment, I tried to get back up. I felt someone jump over me, and they stepped on my femur, on my left femur. And I remember over the music and over the screams, I hear a loud snap. And I feel the most excruciating pain that I've ever felt in my life. And at that moment, now my right leg is all shot. My left leg is broken completely. I'm on the floor. I can't do anything. I can't move. I can't get up. All I could do was cover my head. Every time I look up, I can just see bodies going down. Everyone's trying to leave through one door, so everyone's stuck, and they're just trying to head that direction. But at that moment, there's a lady that fell. She was there with her son, actually, and her son, he was able to get out, but she fell. She was shot, and she was in pain. So, you know, me being me, I held her hand and I told her, it's going to be just fine. You just have to calm down. We're going to get out of here. You have to calm down. So now I hear the shooters outside in the patio. I can hear the shots going on and the screams outside the patio. And I look around and I just see dead bodies all around me.
My goodness.
It's dark, dead bodies all around me. I'm thinking to myself, Angel, this is a dream. This is, you would never expect to go through something like that. You would never expect to be part of a terrorist attack, So I'm thinking to myself, this is crazy. At first, I thought it was like a gang fight and someone came in to shoot someone, but then it just kept on going. And I'm like, there's something wrong. This is crazy. I can't, I kept on trying to pinch myself. I told myself, Angel, this is a nightmare. You just wake up. And I was just there. And I remember at a moment that I was speaking to the lady. I heard footsteps coming in again, and I started to hear pops again. But this time it was slow. It wasn't fast. I kept on hearing pop, pop, gunshots, pop, and I came to realize that now he's shooting everyone that's on the floor. He was very ruthless. Now he's making sure that everyone is dead that's in the room. And I kept on hearing the shots going, and it kept on getting closer and closer. And the lady, I kept on screaming. She was in pain, so I can understand her screaming. But I told her, you have to be quiet. He's coming our way. You have to pretend you're dead. Hold your breath. Don't move. But he's coming our way. He's getting closer. And she kept on screaming. So I was like, Angel, you know what? Just close your eyes, hold your breath, pretend you're dead. Do what you have to do. Do what you have to do. And at the moment, I had covered my face and I held my breath. I was still holding her hand with my other hand. And at the moment, I hear a loud pop. Again, it was the same kind of pop that I heard the first time. It was super loud in my ear. And at the same time, I had opened my eyes and I see the body of the lady jump up and down. And I remember her hand let loose in my hand, and then her eyes just closed. And in the inside, I'm panicking. Now, once again, I'm going through this, something that I never thought I was going to go through. And now someone that I'm next to, holding her hand, just got murdered in front of my face. I was never a violent person like that. I was never a person who was around that kind of, so I'm thinking to myself, what is this? Right. What am I going through? Like, this is complete craziness. This is complete craziness. And then now I'm starting to think to myself, okay, Angel, you're next. Mm-hmm. He knows you're alive. He knows you're alive. You're next. And at that moment, I can feel him behind me. And I could feel that stare, like when someone's staring at you, they're just, they're just there. Mm-hmm. I could feel that, but nothing was happening. It was weird. It was very weird. I was like, why is he not shooting? He knows I'm alive. I'm holding her hand. He knows I'm alive. He's not shooting. What's going on? So at that moment, I said, okay, Lord, well, this is the moment you're giving me to make peace with you, because I'm about to die. I'm about to die. You've given me this moment to speak to you and to let everything go, because I'm about to die. Mm-hmm. So I started praying at that moment in my head. I started asking for forgiveness. I started telling the Lord, Lord, I know that you never left my side. I left your side. But please forgive me for that, Lord. I'm sorry for everything that I've done, but please, I'm about to die right now. Please take me with you, because I'm about to die. I was out in the open on the floor. There was nothing covering me. So I knew for sure he's going to shoot me in the head. He's going to shoot me in the back. And, but this is where the story changes. And this is actually a part where People magazine, Time magazine, they don't have this part of the story, because I was in those interviews before I really encountered God. Mm-hmm. So I was scared to really testify of what God really did that night. That's a whole other story. That comes in the part of the transformation part of the story. Yeah. So at this moment I'm praying and nothing's happening. nothing's happening. Uh, and something clicked, something changed, and I could feel like there was spiritual warfare going on at that moment.
Mm.
And I changed my prayer and I started to prophesy over my life. And in my head, I started to pray and I said, Lord, you know what? I'm not leaving here dead today. I'm leaving here alive because you have purpose with me.
Mm.
There is
Mm.
something bigger in my life that you promised me, that you promised my mom, that her son had purpose in life and had something coming for him. So you know what? I'm not going to leave here dead today. I'm going to leave here alive. And when I leave here, I'm going to worship you for the rest of my life. And I kept on prophesying over my life. I could feel this spiritual warfare going on. This was the moment where I understood that God has given you the power and authority to change the atmosphere. Because at that moment, I was changing what was going on in there. I was changing that battle. The enemy thought that he had me, and he did it. And he did it. And I had that connection with the Holy Spirit at that moment. I started praying. And the moment that I said amen in my head, I said amen, and I hear a loud pop. And I remember I feel my body jump up and down. I remember I feel heat in my midsection. And I can feel like something hot just going down my legs, leaving my body, and I was shot again. He shot me again in my hip. But I don't know where the strength came from, where I didn't yell, I didn't move, I didn't scream, I didn't twitch at all. I took the pain and I saw black. And I thought to myself at that moment, I'm dead. I'm dead. He just shot me again. I feel everything's leaving my body. I can feel I'm dead. I see black. But at that moment, I hear the footsteps leaving and go into the room, and I open my eyes. And at that moment, I could just thank the Lord. Thank the Lord, because everyone around me was dead. Everyone around me was dead. And a couple minutes came by, and the cops they started to put their flashlights through the door, and they were trying to see who was alive. I put my hand up real quick. I told them, I can't walk, I can't do anything. Please just take me out of here. And so he ran to me, Officer Omar Delgado, which is like my brother today.
Yeah.
We're still in contact. He's amazing. He came to me and I told him, please carry me, because I can't walk. I'm in pain. I can't move. And he couldn't carry me because of all the bodies. It was just in case, he was carrying me, he trips and he fell over body, and then I get more injured. He's like, I can only drag you out of here. It was a procedure that they had. He said, I can only drag you out of here. So I told him, do whatever you have to do. Just please get me out of here. So he turns me over and he just starts to run, dragging me. And it was a mix of emotions at that moment, because I could hear the shooting going on in the other room. So I'm happy that I'm being pulled away, but I'm scared because shooting's going on. He's going to hear us. He's going to come in through the door and start shooting us again. I can feel pain because now he's dragging me over the glass that's on the floor. So I can feel the glass, they're cutting the wounds open from my legs. But at the same time, I'm telling him, just run, get me out of here. Just get me out of here. There was so much emotion at that moment. But by the grace of God, he got me outside, across the street. And the ambulance came. And he had later told me, the ambulance, if I was there for 5 more minutes, that I would have been gone. I would have been dead. And that was a whole other part of the story, because they broke the rules getting into Pulse, the ambulance. They weren't supposed to be there. They weren't supposed to go. They had told them, you have to wait to drive there. Don't drive yet. And they're like, no, we're driving. And the moment that they got there, I was there. And they put me and someone else in the ambulance, and they drove me real quick to the hospital. So that was all God. He had everything. He had everything already planned there. So I got to the hospital. There was chaos in the hospital as well, because now they're taking care of us in a room where we're all in pain, we're screaming, we're yelling, and then all of a sudden the nurses, they start to run and they leave, And we're like, what is going, I'm like, what's going on? Like, I'm here, I'm bleeding out. Like, there's blood all over my bed. I'm bleeding out. And the nurses just leave. And and I had heard someone yell code silver. And code silver is there's a shooter in the hospital.
Oh.
So that means,
goodness.
so at that moment, the nurses now have to take care of themselves. They have to lock themselves in a room, and they can't take care of the patients just to protect themselves. So I'm thinking, okay, great. I'm in the hospital, and now he's here. You know, so I remember seeing I'm seeing a survivor jump out of his bed, and he starts to crawl, trying to get somewhere under. I couldn't do anything, so I grabbed a board that was next to me and I put it on top of me. But then someone came in and was like, "It's a false alarm." So that was a relief. And a couple hours after that, I got into surgery. I remember opening my eyes and I see my mom and I see my sisters and my dad, and that was just one of the best moments of my life, being able to see them, because being stuck in the lifestyle, because I had so much guilt and so much shame, because I knew the word of God, I didn't want to spend time with my parents, with my family.
Sure.
Because they were an amazing example of Jesus throughout the years. So they never left me. They never abandoned me just because I was gay. No, if anything, they were there for me more than before, you know? So me, I felt the guilt and the shame. So I was the one that pushed them away, and, you know, I wouldn't see them a lot. So the moment that I got to see them there, all I could do was hug them and kiss them and tell them, I promise you, I will go to church with you. Now.
Right.
But that's where you know, the true process started. And I remember the nurse, one of the nurses, he came in a couple days after, and he was like, Angel, so we've been doing the x-rays, we've been doing all this stuff, and you weren't shot 3 times. I thought I was shot 3 times. He was, Angel, you were approximately shot 6 times. Wow. And, you know, because, and he has said approximately because all the bullets, they were broken.
Right.
They had shattered inside, so they were trying to put them together. But, you know, all I could do at that moment was thank the Lord, even though I didn't know if I was going to be able to walk again, because I didn't have my nerves in my legs. I couldn't feel my legs. I was just there. But that's where the true process started. That's where my life really, you know, changed.
Yeah, man, that is incredible. And you were you know, I mean, getting all of these injuries the way you got them, I read that you were a dancer.
So I was not an actual dancer.
Okay.
I did work at the conventions for Zumba.
Okay.
So I would be dancing. I
Sure.
would be dancing all over the place, you know. And so at the moment that all happens, there was a guy who was named Angel that died, that did Zumba as well.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that was there. So so me being there at the convention, and then him, they actually made a it was called the Angel Diversity Scholarship that was made for Zumba, for me and the other angel, and now they give it to other people that are in there. But yeah, there was a lot of support from different companies and all that stuff.
Sure. Were you able to call anybody? Like, I mean, because I imagine, you know, everybody's got cell phones, everybody's, you know, were you able to call anybody for help or anything like that when you were inside the club?
Inside, I was not able to call anyone because I was trying to survive, you know. And if he called me on the phone, then it was a quick, I'm gone. But I did call people when I was outside, when I was able to go outside. That's when I had called a few friends and my sister and all that stuff. And but they couldn't, they weren't able to find us in the hospital because we were all John Doe's in the hospital. So it was a process for them. No one knew if their son or daughter was dead until like 12 p.m. You know, so everyone, they were on the wait. You know, they didn't know. They had to send pictures of their brothers, of their sisters, and then they had to wait to see if they were in surgery or not. But I was in the hospital. I was in there for 3 weeks in the hospital. I could not walk. I didn't have the the balance to stand up and have the energy. I would try to stand up and I would lose all my energy at that moment. I would start to sweat. And I actually ended up being the first interview after the shooting. I had no idea it was going to be like that. They just told me, Angel, can you do a small press conference with a couple of the doctors just to share quick, you know, what happened to you that night? So I was like, okay, that's fine. And I remember they strolled me into that room and I just see hundreds of cameras.
Yeah.
Hundreds of cameras, hundreds of people. And that's the interview that you see me with the gray shirt. Usually, where you see my face that's all cut and stuff like that. That was that interview. I had no idea it was going to be a world interview, like an international interview. I remember 20 minutes after that interview, I started getting calls in my room from all over the world, from London, from China. You know, everyone saw who Angel Cologne was. So that actually started a whole other process for me as well. Because now the moment that I was discharged, everyone, they wanted to bring Angel Cologne to their city. They wanted to bring Angel Cologne to their event. They wanted to bring Angel Cologne to that. They wanted to pay Angel Cologne to do this. So before the shooting had happened, my goal, it was to be a reality star. It was to be famous. So now everything is coming my way. The moment that I gave my life to Jesus, you know, because I went to church after I got discharged, I gave my life to Jesus again. I'm doing good. Now all these offers are coming my way, you know. So at first I'm like, oh wow, this is great. You know, I get to have a community. I get to go to church. I get to have this. You know, people are being, you know, they're being awesome to me. And then, you know, as the months came by, I was doing events in California, events in New York. I got hired with a speech company, so I was going to the big colleges and the universities giving speeches in my story, and I was getting paid very, very, very well. I got an offer to do a reality show of my life after Pulse, a movie as well. But during all this, it's like I'm living in two waters, because I'm going to church, but I'm so confused because I'm doing all these events still for LGBT and still surrounded by that community. Then now I catch myself. I'm still dating guys. I'm still doing this. I'm still doing that. I'm like, wait, Angel, what are you doing? Because at that moment I was still fighting with the Lord about my sexuality and my identity. I would tell the Lord, I went through this tragedy, almost got killed. I'm going through all these injuries. I survived. I'm here. I'm going to church. I'm doing what I have to do. I'm praying. Why have I not changed? Why have I not changed? And I remember about a year after the shooting, I was in my room and I was praying. And I said, Lord, I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of fighting. I surrender to you completely. I surrender to you completely. Not only take my sexual identity, but take my whole heart. Take everything of me. I said, Lord, take it all. Take every piece of me. Do what you want with me. And at that moment, the Holy Spirit said, Angel, that's all he wanted. He wants everything of you. He wants it all. Yeah. So at that moment, something just happened in my life where I started to say no to everything that I was doing. I turned down the speech company that was my income. That was everything that I was making. I said no to all the events. And I started to testify. And I started to share with the world. And at that moment, the world turned their back on me completely. Completely. Wow. It was a 180.
Wow.
A 180. They pushed me to the side. I had to learn how to say no to the world and yes to God.
Yes.
But that was the best decision that I had made in my life. Yeah.
And not to cut you off, I'm getting excited because I know we're getting into the transformation part of this, and perhaps probably most powerful story I've ever heard in modern day for me. But just what you said there, as far as, you had to learn to say no to the world. And at the moment where, you've been fighting with probably during, obviously being gay, feeling like the odd man out in your family. Now here
Yeah.
you are trying to join the community, the Christian community, and you're stuck again, feeling like the odd man out. You know what I'm saying? And so, but it's powerful to note that even some of the most powerful men in the Bible that did the most for the Lord, when they felt like the odd man out, God saw them as the only man available. And
Yes.
even though you're turning down what you thought was going to be success, money was good. Your story was getting out. God had other plans, and we're going to hear about
Yeah.
that as well, because you've now been a founder of ministries. You do have uh, a, um, a a documentary out on Amazon where you're able to express your story. It's all just the way that God had planned it to go. I do have a question for you, kind of going back a little bit. Throughout your story, I was just hearing the constant pattern of feeling good and then feeling in danger, and then feeling like you were getting out and then feeling in danger again. And then you get to the hospital where you would think, okay, I'm going to make it. And then code silver happens.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking to myself, if I was in that situation mentally, I would have just quit. Like, I would have been like, you know what? This is just what I would have accepted my fate at that point. So can you describe to us the moment where you finally felt like, okay, I have made it out of this situation? Can you just kind of just describe what that felt like? What verified for you, I'm safe now? And just kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, at the hospital, it was a mix of emotions because there was just so much going on. Like, it was not, because they weren't expecting this either. So all of a sudden, they have all these people coming in with gunshots, and they had told me that they would have to choose who to take care of first.
Yeah.
And that they would have to choose who was going to die, and they would have to push them to the side. So it was a lot for them too. So there was just so much going on. I remember them I'm trying to take care of me, but I was in so much pain that I was just going all over the place. I was, they had to actually tie me down into the bed for them to be able to put me through the MRI and get my scans and all that stuff. So I didn't feel safe. I was still scared. But the moment that I was going into surgery, I felt a sense of the relief, because on my way to the surgery, they had let my sister actually come quick to say hi to me. So I remember I was going into the OR, and I saw my sister, and that was when I felt a relief, where I was able to see someone of my family all over again. And I was able to smile at her and tell her, I love you. I'm going to be okay. That was just a sense of relief. But definitely the moment that I walked into the room and my family was there, that just felt like, okay, I'm okay. I'm okay now.
Yeah. Angel, I know that after the fact, most people who go through like traumatic events like this, they end up having some type of emotional or psychological trauma. I mean, I can only imagine. I don't know, some people have, they end up having PTSD, or they have some type of thing where they just, nightmares, all of that. I mean, did you experience anything like that after coming out of something so horrific?
Yeah. Those first couple of years, I did have PTSD, and not only because of that night, but because of the conspiracy theorists. They were behind our backs, saying that we were actors doing this and doing that.
Oh,
and they were actually, they would email us and send us threats and all that stuff. So now, not only do I have PTSD of the shooting, I have PTSD because I think that someone's gonna come and kill me again, because I'm not dead, because I lied or something. And that's why you see they've made interviews that my injuries are fake and all that stuff, because you can see the change of my first interviews, because those first 2 days I thought I was shot 3 times. And then they told me 5 and then 6. So you could see the difference in the interviews. And, those people are good at their jobs and they go deep into your story and they make it seem real that all of us are actors,
Yeah.
and then they send out these emails, these threats and all that stuff. So that's in your head as well. Everywhere that you go, is someone here? Is someone here? Are they going to take my life? Or am I in danger again? And I would have the nightmares, every time I was step with a big crowd. I was scared. But nowadays, after actually finding Jesus and having a real relationship with him, that's all changed. I can share this story and live my life. Of course, I have a dream here and there of the night.
Sure.
But it's a dream. Okay, it happens. All right, let me go back to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a beautiful healing, that part. That the Lord has just completely healed me of that, of the PTSD, because there's still people that share the story and they can't sleep. They just cry all day. They just so seeing the difference of it is actually beautiful, and it lets me know that Jesus is real as well.
Yeah. I what about the forgiveness of the shooter? I mean, anytime somebody comes, I can only imagine how hard it is for you or anyone else to process forgiveness for someone like that. What's that journey been like?
That actually was one of the first steps. It was actually in the hospital. I remember, like when people would come, I would sleep during the day, and then at nighttime I was up. So I remember, they would be sleeping around me, and I would be up. So I would pray, um, and there was a night that I thought to myself, all right, Angel, okay, so what are you gonna do from here on? What's your life gonna be? Are you going to be this depressed person that's always thinking about what happened to you? Or are you going to be this person that's going to take this story and is going to try and help others who have been through something like this and move forward in life and heal in life and just do something better with their lives? And I said, Angel, I want to be that. I want to be that person that takes this story and uses it for healing, to move forward and to do something good in their lives. And I told myself, in order to do this, I need to have forgiveness. I can't be a hypocrite and tell people you have to forgive others and you have to move forward if I haven't done it myself.
Yeah.
So I remember there was a night where I was just crying, and I said, I forgive the shooter. I forgive the guy, even though he's dead at this moment. But I have to move forward from these feelings of the person that did this to me, so I had forgiven him in the beginning, and then his the wife, that was it was more in the future. A couple years back, I didn't know how I felt about her because she knew what was going on. She knew that he was going there, and there was a moment where she went to court, and I had the option to go, but I didn't go. But then as I'm seeing her in the court, this is where I knew that I had changed. I said, man, I wish I was in that court, because I would have gone to her, I would have hugged her, and I would have told her, I forgive you, and I hope that you meet the Jesus that I have met, and I hope that we will be in heaven together.
Yeah.
I have no ill feelings towards them. I have nothing but love towards them, because I know that people in this world need Jesus.
Yes.
I know people go through things that they end up doing that. It's free will. We all have free will, and we go through certain things because of that. But I know that the moment that they're able to meet Jesus and they see the change that I've made, I want that for everyone. Even for people who have done the worst. We're all souls. We all need Jesus, and we all need to be saved, and we all need to understand that, each and every person that's in this world can become a child of God, and He loves them. And I think that that's something that everyone has to understand.
Yeah.
Would you say that that was part of the forgiveness process too, is realizing that like there's still souls that need to be saved, and they still, well, for her, she still had an opportunity to make that decision, to get on I know that's hard
Mhm.
because here's someone that really didn't care about yours, and now on the flip side, making it through, just having the realization that there's so much more to this world than what we're facing day to day. Like literally you were on the brink of going into eternity. You know what I'm saying? So did that help with I guess the process of saying, I need to forgive this person, and I hope that this person finds the same Jesus that I was able to meet.
Yeah, yeah, and throughout that time, I was able to reflect on my life and everything that I had done in the
Mm,
world, and all the horrible things that I did in my past, and I'm being able to see that God forgave me for all of that.
mm,
Who am I to not forgive anyone else if God forgave me?
Mhm.
right.
Who am I to say you're not good enough for me to forgive?
Yeah.
I messed up so much, and I still, to this day, all of us, we have our times where we mess
Mm,
up, and guess what? God is there.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes.
He
Yes.
forgives us, and He loves us.
Mhm.
And we have to be that reflection. We have to be a reflection of Jesus
Yeah.
here on earth. So forgiveness is a huge part. It's helped me to move forward in my healing
Mm,
as well. To be happy again.
yeah.
To have peace in Jesus. Forgiveness was a huge part of that.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm thankful, man. I'm so thankful for you coming on and sharing the first part of your story, which was the experience of the whole night. And I know we're going to get into the transformation part of it, but I mean, you said something in the story where you said, listen, I was praying to Jesus. I love Jesus, but I was still, even after the shooting, like I was still battling with homosexuality and dating guys, and pretty much reverting back to what you were doing even before the shooting. Just now you have a greater knowledge of Jesus and a greater desire for him. Homosexuality or not, sin is sin.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and unfortunately in the church world, we can, okay, well, gay people are here, that's a different type of sin. The truth is, we go through life and we love Jesus and we want to know more of Jesus, but we also have our sins where we will go out and we will knowingly sin.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a big deal that I
Yes.
think the Christian world's just fallen asleep to, where we're like, well, yeah, I'm going to ask for forgiveness. There
Mm-hmm.
is something to say about saying, okay, Jesus, I love you, and I know this upsets you, but I'm going to do it it's rebellion. I'm
Yeah.
going to do it
Yeah.
my way. And so
Mhm.
just for the listeners, listen, homosexuality. Oh, let's just talk sexual sin, addiction to porn. I mean, same-sex attraction, sexual perversion, and then we can go even on the habits, the addictions that we do have.
There's a
Um,
whole list. Yeah.
I'm just, yeah,
There's
obviously
a
we're
whole
talking
list.
about one, but I mean, sin separates you from God. It doesn't matter what the sin is, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we've got to come to the understanding that no matter what it is that we're doing, if we're knowingly doing it against God, we are rebelling, okay? And
Yes.
we are telling God without having the words to say it, I'm doing life my way. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just thought it was super important that you highlighted that you came to a realization that you needed a savior, but you still struggled with sin. And I
Yeah.
think that that's something that the audience, no matter what we're dealing with, we can relate to that and say, yeah, there's an area of my life where I'm battling and I am rebelling against God. And so to hear your story of being able to even come out of that, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to
Mm-hmm.
hear that is, again, dude, thank you for coming on and sharing that, because we all need to hear stories like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen.
Absolutely. And Angel, I think there's two other things that you said that I think is really important to anyone that is listening. And one of the things that you said was completely surrendering to God.
Yes.
Like there was this moment where you were in a moment of crisis and you surrendered to God
Yeah.
in a sense. But there came a moment in your life where you had to say, God, I completely give you everything,
Mm,
every part of my life.
mm,
And that is very hard for our humanity to give God everything, right? Because we compartmentalize things and we say, okay, this is my Christian life here.
Yes.
And then, but I don't want you to have this part over here. And I think that speaks to just the human condition and so many of us deal with. And I think your story, you know, because I always think it's crazy because we always say in the moment of crisis, God, if you get me out of this, I will do X and Y, right?
It's conditional.
It's conditional, right? Yeah. And then God gets us out of it, you know, because I've been like that before myself, where I'm like, God, if you just do this, man, I will never do this again. And then I find myself doing that. And it's not a real true surrender to Christ. And so I think God is speaking through you to people that are listening to this podcast, is that whatever those things are that you're battling, things that you feel like insurmountable, you feel like there is no way that God could deliver me from it. So I'm just going to dabble in this because it's just too hard for me to get rid of it. God is literally saying to you through Angel today is you need to completely trust me with your entire life. Your thoughts, your deeds, your actions, your motives, your emotions, everything about you needs to just be surrendered. And the other thing you talked about was the forgiveness. Like most of us, we have a hard time forgiving somebody because they said something about us, or they looked at us the wrong way, or, you know, they disappointed us in some area. But here we are talking to somebody where they had somebody over them with a gun and was shooting them, you know, and you're able to say today, you know what, I forgive this person. You know, I forgive even their wife that knew what was going on. And I'm not saying that process is easy for everyone, but at the end of the day, that's who we should be.
It's a necessary process.
It's a necessary process. Yeah. You keep yourself in bondage when you don't forgive. And you know, it's just I tell you, Angel, it blesses my heart that we can see clearly just the transformation and what God can do for a life. Yeah. And not everybody that listens to our show are Christian. We have listeners all over the place. And I just want you guys to know, if you're listening to us today and you're not a Christian, guys, listen. I don't care if you have to listen to this podcast 3 times. Listen to it over and over and over again till you understand the heart of this man that we're talking to, the steps that he took to get to the place that he's at. Because most of you listening haven't went through something that he's went through, and probably will not go through what he went through. Right. But he still found that Jesus was the answer. You know, he could have taken this whole thing and said, well, there couldn't have been a God, right? Why would a good God allow these bad things to happen to me? Why would a good God allow me to go through all of this trauma and all of these things? But instead, he's been able to see how God was working through this entire process.
It's good.
And so I'm just, it encourages me.
Yeah, man. And, you know, and just like you said, trusting God and depending on him is a huge part of this process. I remember the moment that I said no to the world and yes to Jesus. That's where everything stopped. It got to the point where I couldn't afford rent. I couldn't afford to pay my bills. I couldn't afford to live alone. I had to move in with my sister. Nobody saw that, just my mom and my sisters. Nobody knew. Everyone thought that I was making all this money, that I was banking, because now I switched over to the church. So they thought that I was getting paid even more when, no.
Right.
That's not the case. But I had to learn how to really depend on God and trust in him and say, you know what, Lord, I'm going through this, but you're going to take me out of it. You're going to pull me through this. You're going to pull me through. And it really has been beautiful to learn what trusting in God is. And what depending in him is. You know, there's moments that you're going through a hard time and you don't understand why. But going through that, you learn the importance of trusting in God, of knowing that he has you, that he's got your back no matter what. Even if you're going through something, he's going to pull you through. You have
Mhm.
to have that connection with him in the good times as well. Just
Yes,
because life is going great, you can't forget about Jesus.
that's right.
Just because you're not going through anything, you can't forget about Jesus. You have to have that same desire that you have for Jesus when you're going through a hard time. You have to have that same desire when you're going through good times,
So good.
knowing that he's a good God, and those good times are because of him as well.
Hmm.
So trusting in God and depending on him is huge, huge.
Man, so good. Guys, I know that you're enjoying this conversation that we're having, and we weren't able to get on this particular episode into his complete transformation and kind of what that all looked like. I know we just teased it a little bit and touched it, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring him back for next week for him to just talk about his transformation. We know that we have some listeners that may be struggling with same-sex attraction, and we want to talk to him a little bit about that and what that looks like, and just kind of go through that piece as well. So what we want to make sure you do is we want you to go search Angel Cologne. He's also a part of the Freedom March, which is just an awesome thing, and I'll have him explain a little bit about that in a second. And also Fearless Identity. He's the co-founder of that ministry as well. Angel, can you tell us a little bit about those two ministries so that people can reach out and become a part?
Yeah, so Fearless Identity, that's my baby. That's me and Louise's baby. That's so Luis, like I said, he's also a post survivor, and he's
Mhm.
gone through his own story. Hopefully, you guys can have him on here so to hear his story. But him and I, the moment that we shared our story, you know, ev- everyone, backlash, the backlash that we had was crazy. We lost so many people.
Mm.
So many turned their backs on us.
Mm.
We were going through it that way. We were going through it financially as well, but we knew that our identity was in Christ and we were fearless.
Mm.
And going through that, we became so bold where now we can walk through anywhere and share a story straight through. We can share everything and tell everyone where the Lord has taken us out of. And so we came up with this name, the Fearless Identity.
Yeah.
And so now we're getting together all the leaders here in Florida that have left the lifestyle, and we're uniting them and sharing to the world that we have a fearless identity, and that we're going to be going into churches and sharing with our youth and even the kids, because kids are going through it as well these days.
Yep.
And Freedom March, this is an amazing family that I met during my process. The moment that I met them, uh, freedom came into my life as well, because I saw that it is possible to resurrender to Jesus, and your life will change. So the founder of the Freedom March is Jeffrey McCall.
Mm.
Jeffrey McCall, he's an amazing man. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it, but he was a transgender.
Mm.
He has an amazing story as well. And the board leaders are Edward Bird, MJ Nixon, Kimberly Zemper, and then Luis and I. If you guys want to take a moment and grab those names and search them up on social media, their stories are powerful.
Mm.
Wow.
Powerful.
Yeah.
They're all different stories. All of us leaving the lifestyle, but in different ways. MJ actually, she was in church with her girlfriend for about 2 years. She
Mm.
gave her life to Jesus, but she stayed with her girlfriend in church. And
Mm.
in church was where the process started with two of them, and they separate. Like like these stories are just they're amazing. So yeah, so now so we go into into the big cities of the U.S. and we go outside. We have a stage. We share 12 testimonies. We do worship and we march around town,
Mm.
just sharing that there is freedom in Jesus Christ. And at first, it was very scary to do this because we did not know what to expect. But the Lord has blessed us, and seeing lives come because of these marches, because of us being so bold. It's giving them hope and giving them the and the fuel and the boost to share their testimony. Because I share Revelations 12:11 with people all the time. We overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony.
Sure.
Yes.
Every time I testify, I can feel a freedom.
Yeah.
I feel free. I feel like there's more things just coming out of me and saying, Lord, I'm just all yours. I'm all yours. So I tell people, even if you're going through it in your struggle, testify what God has done and is going to do in your life, and you will feel that freedom. So many people are starting to be bold and sharing their testimonies, and especially now with everything that's going on in the world and all these bills trying to pass, giving kids on the age of 8 pills to start changing their bodies with no consent of their parents. Like, all this is giving us that boost and that fuel to keep doing what we're doing. And I wanted to share also, of course, I wanted to share too, there's another thing that I remember of, and that it gives me that fuel and that pump to keep doing this. And it's because I remember being in the club. I would get drunk and I would start to sing worship songs in the club. Somehow drunk, it would still come out of me, and I would just start to sing in the club. And I think they were looking at me like, Angel, what are you doing? But the thing is that someone would always join, and they would sing the whole song with me. And I would be like, wait, how do you know this song? And they would always tell me, I used to be a preacher. I used to be an evangelist, a worshiper in church. There are so many souls living in that lifestyle that have been introduced to Jesus, but because of something or in church, they've left, the path with Jesus. So seeing that, I know that there are so many souls that know who Jesus is, that are living in that lifestyle. It gives me that fuel to keep sharing and let them know it's possible. It's possible to change. It's possible to find Jesus again. It's possible to fall in love with him again. And it's there's a lot of work to do here in the US, here in the world. But we're doing what we can. And I just tell people, share wherever you are. Facebook, social media, in your church, out in the store, share. If someone has a question, share. It's time to be real and transparent.
Yes.
It's time to be real and transparent, because these youth and kids, they're hearing all about it in school and in social media. And I'd rather them hear everything from me than from the world.
That's right.
Because the world is going to accept them and tell them, oh, that's how you feel. Okay, that's what you are.
Right.
When I have to value truth over feelings.
That's right.
I have to value Jesus over feelings.
That's right.
And I don't follow my heart. I follow Jesus. It's in the Bible. Our heart is very deceitful.
Yes.
And so we're trying to be as bold as we can, as transparent as we can, and real, because they're hearing it everywhere. Social media is horrible. Social media is horrible. The schools, they're allowing everything now, so they can be here at home and act fine, but in school they can be something else.
100%. Well, we appreciate, Angel, you coming on, and I appreciate you telling your story. So the next week, folks, you will hear his transformation story and all of that. If you have people that that are in the gay lifestyle and you've been trying to reach them, and you're like, man, I don't understand it. I don't know anything really about it. I've never been through it, so it's hard for me to identify with them or explain it to them. I encourage you for them to listen to this week's show, but also next week's show as well, because I think that would be such a help and such a blessing to them. And Kyle, can you just tell everybody where to find us?
Yeah, you can find us on social media platforms: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Facebook is pretty simple, Thinking Out Loud Podcast. We have a fan page as well. Instagram is thinking_out loud, and Twitter is Thinking Out Loud Podcast. So just look us up. You're going to see our logo. We post our videos. We post questions. We have dialogue with our followers throughout the week. Just this last week, we did a Christmas one, and then obviously promoted the fact that we were going to have Angel on today. We just want to let you guys know what we're going to be talking about. So you can find us on any of those platforms.
Yeah, and you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, everywhere you consume podcasts. You will find us, and we appreciate you guys being here. We'll look forward to sitting around at the table next week and chatting with Angel. God bless you guys.